Hey, what is up, everybody? I am here to give you my Fear the Walking Dead review for Season 1, Episode 2. I watched it last night, and then I had to go back and rewatch it this morning because I got busy doing other things that I couldn't do the review. So I'm here to give you the review now, and I'm here to talk about it. So let's do this. This episode is called, well, actually, it came out, I should mention, on August 30th, 2015, and it's called So Close, Yet So Far. Uh, and the episode kicks off. We see Alicia is at Matt's house, and she's looking around for him, and then she sees something's wrong. Well, I don't forget what she says because I didn't watch it, go back, but I think she's like, oh shit, or something like that, which we're going to find out in a couple of minutes as I talk about this episode, what happened to Matt. Because if you remember, he was supposed to meet her at the beach yesterday. He hasn't answered any of her texts or anything like that. So now we know, and then we're gonna know why in a couple of minutes. That next, and then it cuts not really to the theme song, but to like the logo. I like that they don't have a theme song. I think that kind of adds time to get things done on the episode. And we see Travis, Nick, and Madison are driving back, and they're trying to get because obviously they know what happened. They're trying to get a hold of Alicia, and Chris, and well, Travis is trying to call Chris. Madison's trying to get a hold of Alicia, and Nick is going on the radio, and nobody's talking about this situation. They're talking about NFL. They're talking about just anything but this situation. The reason I know why they're calling it, they're talking about NFL is they said something about, like, they were talking something about sports, about how there was somebody that was supposed to be playing. I don't know if that took place actually at that time, but I don't know. And Nick just can't believe that nobody's talking about this, that they're trying to ignore this situation. And Madison and Travis come up with the idea that until the situation's over, until they know exactly what this is, they're just going to go to the desert. They're going to get away from people so that way they can't get this virus. And then they finally get a hold of Alicia, and they tell her to pack her things and all that stuff. But she says, I'm at Matt's, and she's not feeling well. And we find out his parents, by the way, are in Vegas, and they're driving back today. So they go to see what's wrong with Matt. And we find out Matt has a fever, and I think Alicia even said that it's hard to move him, and obviously we know why he has this fever if you're a Walking Dead fan, and she says he was supposed to meet me at the beach yesterday, but he never showed up, and we obviously know why, and Alicia has no clue what's going on either because she thinks that all this zombie stuff is just fake, and Travis even says, Alicia, let me talk to him, and he says that his parents are going to be home in a few hours, and then Travis doesn't remove his shirt, but looks at his shoulder, and we see that Travis has been bit, but they don't know what it is. They think it's just like a gunshot, but it's like, is that a bite? Because they don't live in the Walking Dead world. This is like the first time we've actually seen this happen. I think that was kind of cool that that happened. And they want Alicia to leave with her, but Alicia wants to stay with Matt. Because they just think he's just sick at first. Because Alicia's like, well, if he has it, then I have it. And Matt says, just go. You're gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. My parents are gonna be home. Well, we really know he's not. We really know that he's not gonna be fine. But and Alicia says, "I don't want to leave you. I love you." He's like, "I love you too, but you gotta go with your folks." And she does. And obviously, we're not gonna see Matt again for obvious reasons. I wonder if we're gonna see him as a zombie. Actually, we're gonna have to wait and see with that. Then Nick is searching around for stuff, and Nick just can't. No, actually, that's not what happens next. We find out the neighbors across the street. I think their last name was the Dawsons. I could be mistaken. Yeah, and then we're trying to get Alicia. They're trying to get Alicia, Liza, and Chris to go to the desert with them, which I'm assuming was going to happen anyways. Uh, I'm trying to see like I don't know the last names. Not gonna lie. Okay, I just don't. Um, but I think I'm just gonna say the Dawsons, and they're supposed to have this big birthday party. Only 9 kids showed up because of that flu. And we see a neighbor, I don't know his name, but he's stashing up waters, and they're like, this guy's being the smoke, and we see that he's coughing, like he has it. So, that's like foreshadowing. The reason I'm saying that, that's going to get used later on in this episode. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't important. But Nick is, like, surprised that nobody believes in this situation. Nobody believes this is real. Nobody thinks this is bad. And Nick wants Madison to tell Alicia what's happening because she doesn't actually know what's happening. And she's like, well, we don't really know either, but Nick says, well, we know more than she does. And Nick even says that we're about to enter a world full of shit, which is true. And then Travis is not able to get a hold of Liza and Chris, so he's just going to go to wherever they live. I don't really know where the hell they live. Somewhere in Los Angeles, obviously, but I don't know where in Los Angeles. And Travis wants them just to leave and he'll catch up with them, but Madison doesn't want to do that because she wants to wait for him. And yeah, that happens. So then Travis ends up getting a hold of Liza, and Liza just thinks that he's just trying to spend time with his son, and they're supposed to have like this agreement they only meet on certain weekends since they're divorced, and she hangs up on him, and Travis just goes anyways for obvious reasons. And I actually didn't mention this. Chris was on the bus, and his dad was trying to get a hold of him, and he's obviously been rejecting his calls because he wants no part of Travis. And we see an ambulance pulled up, and we find out that the police shot some homeless guy because obviously he's going to turn into a zombie, and the police know what's going on, but obviously nobody else. They're not saying anything to anybody else, and they just think they shot him for no reason. You know, he wasn't bothering anybody. They just think that they pretty much shot him for no reason. And everybody starts rioting. This, this black guy is just like, I have freedom of speech. He's just going off saying that he's just not bothering anybody. Chris tapes it with his video camera. And the police are just trying, and everybody just starts rioting. And I didn't mention that, but I figured I'd talk about it now. I actually had forgotten. I didn't forget about that scene, but I'd forgotten that it already happened, because I'm just going off the top of my head. And then Nick is feeling sick, because I think it's because he's starting to get the virus. Obviously, too, because I wonder if you're around a zombie that you can get, because he's obviously been around one already, that you're easy to get it. Because they say, too, that homeless... it actually starts with the homeless and the drug addicts, because you actually can't be. We're gonna find out why later on in the episode, but you want to stay inside as much as possible so you can't get it. But obviously, if you're homeless, you have nowhere to go, so you're gonna get it easy. I don't know why the drug addicts. I guess the drug addicts, maybe it's the same reason. Also, too, because maybe the drug addicts get the drugs from the homeless people. So obviously, since the homeless people have been touching it and all that stuff. Maybe that's why. I'm not really sure why the drug addicts can get it really themselves. And they're trying to call but Madison's trying to call the hospital, and the hospital's pretty much been busy all day. You know, every time they try to call, it's busy because there's so much stuff going on with this virus. Everybody's probably getting it. Everyone's calling in, so it's busy. And Madison, and Nick really needs to get to the hospital, and they don't want to travel if Nick is sick. So Madison goes to the school to get the medication he needs. What did they call it? They called it Oxycontin. Not a bad pill to take. I guess it can be good for, on occasions. And when Madison goes there, she gets the stuff. She breaks into the school. She gets Odie's. I called him Odie the last episode because I thought that was his name, but it's actually Odie without the M. My bad, guys. I'm not good with names, like I said before. And she takes Odie's keys, and she unlocks, I guess, the nurse's office, and she uses a crowbar to get into the where the Oxycontin stuff is, to get into like the locker, and she gets the Oxycontin, and Tobias comes up, and he wants his knife back, obviously, because he wants to survive with this situation. And Madison ends up giving him back his knife, and Madison says she's there because her son is sick, and we find out Tobias has actually been stashing. He's been stashing for food for a while now. I don't know how the hell he's been able to do this. He like found it in the cafeteria and all that stuff. I think he's just been taking it, I guess. I don't think he's like stashing it in there, but he's been stealing food from the cafeteria so that way he can stash for this. He's been stashing for months, and he tells Madison that she should be stashing too, and he's like, "Don't worry, we have food." And Tobias even says that eventually civilization and all society, I know, is just gonna come crumbling down. No one's gonna be able to control the electricity. No one's gonna be able to control the phone lines. It's just gonna all fall down. And everything, and society as we know it's just gonna end, like it was actually happened. And Madison says, "Don't worry, we would know about it or something." And Tobias is like, just like they say people would warn us. So, you know, you can see what happened there. And Madison and Tobias are walking out of no, they hear because in the last episode, Audie was able to listen to the teacher evaluations, so they hear somebody walking, and I think they figured it was one of the zombies. So they start running away. They even hear that alarm go off that would go off if you had, like, change or something, like the metal detectors. And we see Audie, and Audie has turned into a zombie. And, you know, Audie is turned. So, obviously, Madison just thinks that Audie's still in there. She's saying, "We're gonna get you help. Don't worry." But obviously, Audie, there's no Audie. Audie's gone, pretty much. He's just turned into a zombie. And Tobias tries to kill him with his blade, but obviously they don't know how to kill a zombie yet, so he's just stabbing him in the ribs. And Audie tackles him down, and Madison grabs a fire extinguisher and beats him over the head with it. And afterwards, they leave, and Madison's all choked up about this. And as this was happening, Nick was getting worse and worse, and Madison had told Alicia not to leave the house, and Alicia was about to leave, and Nick says, "Don't leave this house." She was gonna go see Matt, and he's like, "Matt's not safe. You promised Mom you wouldn't leave." He's like, "How many promises have you made in your life and broken?" He's like, "Okay, I'm an asshole, but just don't leave." So Alicia's about to leave, but he hears Nick starting to get sick, like he puke, his foam is just puke is just coming out of his mouth, and Alicia says, "Don't do this, you son of a bitch, don't do this." And Nick says, "You don't know if and Nick even said, "You don't know what I've had to do in this world," because he had to kill Calvin and all that stuff. I liked this scene here. I thought it was good. And then eventually Alicia even is like cleaning up his vomit and says that she hates him and all that stuff. And Nick thanks her for sticking up, for taking care of her and stuff like that. And then eventually, this had already happened, but I'm just going to talk about it now. Travis makes it, well, actually Travis had gone to a gas station because he was getting caught up in traffic. And we see the police is stashing up waters in his trunk, and a lady asked him why he's doing that, but he won't really give her much of an answer. So that's going to be foreshadowing right there, because the police, I think, know what's going on. They're just not telling the townspeople. And eventually Travis gets to Lizzie's house, and Travis tries to call Chris using his mom's phone, because obviously he's not going to pick up for Travis. And Travis says, and Chris tells him he's at these riots because they just shot this homeless guy for no reason. And he chains up the phone because he wants to continue to be part of these riots. And they see they see it on the news. So Travis and let me make sure I have her name right. Um, Travis and Liza go to where the riots are, and the riots are happening. They're looking for Chris, but you can't really hear them say it. They're like saying it like in a really cool tone, like a slow motion. I thought that was kind of cool. Um, and then and yeah, so then the the riots start to get worse because a girl who turned into a zombie starts walking over, and the police, one of the police officers shoot her, and obviously everyone just starts going ballistic at this point because they just pretty much think that she just shot that girlfriend just because she stepped across the line, but obviously that ain't the case, and eventually Travis and Liza find Chris, and the police start to patrol. Everybody starts going ballistic. Everybody just starts rioting, tipping cars over, like, riots. And eventually they go into this, like, I don't even know what it's called, but I guess, like, a rest, because it doesn't, it's like a gas station, I guess. Hold on. Hold on, I'm just reading who these people are real quick. Hold on. Yeah, so yeah, they start to leave, and they meet Salazar family, I think is how you say their name, and they're in a barber shop, and they need to get in there because everything's just getting crazy. They're gonna probably end up, it's not safe to be out there during the riot, so they want to get into a safe area. So the guys, let me see if I even can look up these people's names, so that way I can, yeah, they don't say their names yet, but, yeah, but, they don't say their names, so the guy, the father, which the father I think is from Breaking Bad, actually. He was one of the guys that Gus was aligned with in Breaking Bad that was gonna kill Walter White, and he was the guy that was aligned when Walter had killed what's Tuco, I think is his name. I could be wrong. I haven't watched that show in a while. I have to watch it again. I have to get back into that show. And he was the guy that was there. He was the uncle, I think. So I think that was not the uncle, but like, Tuco. He was related to Tuco somehow. So I think that's kind of cool. He was in the show. It's kind of cool to see him. But obviously he ended up dying because Gus had set up an attack to kill him. But that's who it was. So, and I think I saw the wife somewhere else too. Because she doesn't speak any English. I don't know if that's legit or not, but I think I've seen the wife somewhere else, like in a horror movie or something. I'm not really sure. And they come in and they're just freaking out. They want to get out of there, but everybody, the husband and wife is like, the husband's like, it's safe in here. The wife actually is the one that let him in, and we meet the daughter Ophelia, and she asks what's going on, and she's like, these people just ran in because there's some riots going on outside, so she lets them stay, and then later on, Madison comes home, and Nick tells her that Alicia tried to leave, but he stopped her. And Nick tells Madison to tell Alicia what's going on with with this whole zombie apocalypse kind of and everything. And Madison goes into the bathroom and she's all choked up about after having to kill Audie and all that stuff, and she's all like messed up about it. She's all emotional, and then eventually Travis calls and she can end up hearing him, and he tells her about the riots, and he says, just go to the desert and we'll catch up. And Madison says, no, I want to wait for you, so it's not happening. And then Madison walks into Alicia's room like he's gonna to tell like she's gonna tell her what's been going on. And then it cuts to this montage showing Audie dead on the school in the school. The riots continuing happening, and obviously Liza doesn't know what's going on, so Liza's been asking Travis about it too, and Travis just doesn't believe it. He's like, people are just killing, but we don't really know why. I just can't believe it. And then it cuts to the final scene. This isn't the important scene. Mr. Dawson was actually the one that ended up getting sick. Was attacking the Cruz family who was having that party, and Mr. Dawson obviously had turned into a zombie, and Alicia just thinks that he's just beating the crap out of him because she doesn't know about about the apocalypse yet. She doesn't know about this situation yet, so she just thinks that he's attacking them really for no reason, just because. So he thinks he's doing it out of obviously free will, I guess. Like he's still human, but he's just attacking them anyways. But Madison stops her, and Elisa's like, "What are you doing?" He's attacking them for no reason. And then the episode ends when the wife, Ophelia's mom, is praying, and she blows out the candles to end off this episode. And that was all fine and good. I like this episode. I thought this was actually a pretty good episode. The first episode, I think, was a little bit better. I think this episode was actually really good, too. I liked the riots. I liked Madison and the whole Audie situation when he turned. I can't wait. And I liked how Alicia doesn't know about this situation yet. So I think that's pretty cool. I think this was actually a really good episode of this show this week. But I gotta read you guys an article that I found yesterday about a situation that's been going on with the show that I guess people are pissed off about. Let me find it. I can't believe people are pissed off about this. So, let me read this article. It says, Fear the Walking Dead showrunner defends black-only deaths. Because obviously, you know, only the black people really have died in this show. I mean, there's been a few white guys that have died in this show, but they're not like, but they're more like, you know, like, what do I call them? I can't really say recurring cast, but they're more like somebody that's only there once. Like a part-time cast, I guess I should say. So obviously, you know, Audie has died, he's black. Calvin, he's black, he's died. Matt pretty much is dead. And they're all black. Those are like the only real people that have died that we know in this show. And I want to see how they defend this. So let's read this. And by the way, there is spoilers, but I'm all caught up. So if you haven't seen this show yet, well, one, you shouldn't even be this far into the review. So let's see what they did to describe it. As AMC's The Walking Dead progressed, fans noticed an odd pattern. Not long after a new black character was introduced, another black character was killed off. You couldn't find more than a couple black characters on screen at a time. The show was criticized for perpetuating a tired trope. Token black guy only there to even out racial demographics. Now, Fear the Walking Dead, the series prequel, has some fans wondering whether the new show is off to the same irritating start. So far, three major characters have died, all of whom are black. I can't believe this is a freaking thing. You think the writers would have taken past criticism into account, right? So, yeah. And it says, The Hollywood Reporter broached the subject with showrunner Dave Erickson, who defended the story arc as we've seen it so far. And I realize it's clearly become an issue, and it's something we are mindful of, Erickson explained. But ultimately, it's trying to tell the story the best way we can and cast the people we can. I wouldn't want to go black and recast character just to avoid it. No, I'm sorry, I read the word wrong. I wouldn't want to go back and recast a character just to avoid it. If it doesn't feel true to the character or the relationship. The relationship with Alicia and Matt, or Calvin and Nick. Also, according to Erickson, producers cast in the series didn't even know which characters were going to live or die. The original Walking Dead has somewhat fuck, I can't read for shit. We mediate its token black guy problem by introducing some new black characters and letting a few live. To viewers who might want to dismiss the spin-off for dragging a racist trope into 2015, Erickson says, keep watching. When you're dealing with a show where you have a cast that is as diverse as ours is, he told the Hollywood Reporter, it's inevitable that characters of color are going to get a bit and are going to turn or die. If you look at the larger scope of this season, what people will see is that there was parody, I think that says. I don't know how to say that word. I think what he's really trying to say there is because it fits the storyline of why these black characters are dying. Like, for example, Matt and their whole relationship. You know, Alicia had to lose Matt in order to kind of know what's going on, to kind of have that experience. I think that made sense. And who else was Calvin? I mean, Calvin, I can understand dying because, you know, Calvin was his friend. That made sense for the storyline to have that happen. You know, Calvin was his friend, and they needed to find another way for Nick to realize that he wasn't high on, you know, drugs when he saw what was going on in the beginning of the episode. So there's that. Odie, I can't defend. Maybe that Madison and Odie had at least a good enough relationship, and yeah, Odie was a pretty good character. That he was like the only one really at the school that you really could have used, so I can understand that. Yeah, I think it's just the fact that people are just gonna get pissed off no matter what, anyways. Because people get so offended about racism. I am one of those people. I'm totally against racism. But it's just that whole notion that if people treat people like shit, people just assume that, like, for example, some black people get a bad grade on a test, they just think that's racism. They just think that's racist. Another example, if some black guy just gets, like, treated like shit by a waitress, they think it's racism, or it could also just, I mean, unless it's that person's racist, but it could also just be that that's a bad waitress, it could also be waiter/waitress, or it could, you know, it could also be that. It could be that people just get butthurt about racism, and I can understand why people hate racism, but there's no need to get butthurt over it. Another reason, like I talked about in the last video, it's a horror. This is supposed to be like a horror movie, right? I said this before. This is supposed to be like a horror movie, and if you watched horror movies, the black guys don't survive. You know, if you're black, you're not gonna survive. So it's also that reason. The black guys just don't survive in horror movies. That's just the case. If you're black, you're just screwed. That's also that reason. I just don't really get why people are butthurt by this. There's other topics in the world to rant about, but yet you're ranting about this. You know, just find other things to complain about. You know, it's a TV show for one thing. It makes sense for the storyline. If you watch the show and you think about the storyline, that's why these people are dying. You guys are getting all butthurt. I understand I understand you're getting pissed about it, but come on. You know, there's worse racist stuff that happens. I don't really get what they're getting all pissed about, really. I don't really know. It's just stupid. I can't believe people are getting pissed off about it. It made sense for the storyline why Matt died. It made sense for the storyline why Matt died. It made sense for the storyline why Calvin died. It made sense for the storyline why Odie died. If it makes sense for the storyline. It's not always just about them being racist. It made sense for the storyline. And so I just think that's stupid. Anyhow, that's the end of my video here. If you want to subscribe to another channel of mine where I talk about other videos, you can subscribe to my CM Brothers channel up there. I do a lot of other videos and stuff like that up there. And you can also subscribe to my channel down below for future content on this channel. And I'm going to be back to do another Fear the Walking Dead review. Not this week, but next week, because for some reason they're not having it this week. I don't know if it's because of NFL season or what. But I'm looking forward to watching this next week, so I'll be back then.